I'm joined by Harry Littman of the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast. Harry, Donald Trump is running scared from all of these judgments. He can't handle it. He likely doesn't have the money. I'm talking about the, what is it now, $450+ million when you add the prejudgment interest in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case. You're talking about the $83.3 million verdict in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. What we saw this week in both of those proceedings is Donald Trump scrambling, kind of the false bravado of his lawyer saying, oh, he could pay, he could pay, he could pay. But why don't we first start talking about what Trump did in New York, trying to get this delay from Justice Arthur Engoron, which Engoron rejected. Then let's shift gears and talk about what happened in federal court, where he's trying to go to Judge Lewis Kaplan, ask for Judge Kaplan to give him a break. Both judges who Trump has relentlessly attacked, who's given him, you know, most people in Trump's position would be locked up in jail if they behaved that way in a court of law. But what do you make all of this? Let's start with the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, Donald Trump's conduct this week. What happened? Where are we going?
Yeah, look, I think it's really an interesting and dramatic moment in a sense, Ben, because that's all he does, right? Delay, 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 delay. Maybe judges say, you know, oh, we'll rebuff certain efforts, and then he has to move on. This is really the end of the road at the trial level. You know, it's not about stringing out motions or whatever. Literally today, you know, he lost this $450 million and like, oh shit, what do I do now? And one last flailing attempt at delay, he made a very sort of obstreperous motion taking issue because James, the AG, had said, hey, okay, thanks, Engoron. Here's a proposed judgment since we're at the end. And that's what you do at the end. Each parties can exchange them. And Trump said, how dare she? We first have to engage in a sort of motion to settle what the language should be. And like James came back, no, we don't. It's not in the rules. You never told us, Engoron. We've done nothing wrong at all. It's just a ham-handed attempt for a delay. And Engoron agreed and rebuffed Trump. And literally today, you know, there's a moment when the executioner's, you know, knife comes down. And that was today for Trump. There is, boom, a judgment. He's been adjudged. And he's got 30 days now to pony up a huge amount of money if he wants to appeal. It really is the end of the line, almost like the time when you can be convicted at trial and then you keep going and post appeals and habeas. But there is the day when the jail door opens, you go in and they lock it behind you. And today is the equivalent of that for the Engoron case and the really huge price tag that a jury has accorded, and he's going to have to post a huge bond for if he wants to challenge. So that is, you know, what happened this week, and it's got a real sort of finality that has to be very, very sobering for a guy who has sort of bobbed and weaved and kept things at bay for pretty much his whole career.
Let me ask you a question about one thing that happened in this exchange between kind of Trump's lawyers and Justice Engoron that raised a real red flag to me. And then separately, I want to go and make a prediction about what happens next.
Okay.
But in the letter briefs that were exchanged and the emails that were exchanged, because in New York's Supreme Court practice, which is their trial court there, they do a lot of emailing. We don't really do that a lot here in California. Right. I couldn't even imagine emailing a judge in our Superior Court or federal court here without personally getting locked up. But that's a whole nother sidebar discussion that you and I can have. Yeah. But Donald Trump's lawyer claimed that one of the issues with the proposed judgment is that it included incorrect addresses of the Trump organization, the revocable trust, and about 7 or 8 other entities. I think it was 6 or 7 other entities, and claimed that they're actually Florida addresses and not New York addresses. And Trump's lawyers kind of try to act like this was just like a ministerial mistake being made by the New York Attorney General's office. And the New York Attorney General's office quick to respond, like, what are you talking about? These are New York entities. But as I read that, I was thinking to myself, that actually has major substantive kind of implications over where something is located, over where judgments can be enforced against different entities. So changing an address from a New York address to a Florida, and granted, states have comity with each other, but there's a process of going into another state and enforcing the judgment. But that could have a real substantive impact.
Oh my God, yes. And forget comedy, like 100%. What we learned, by the way, in this trial is there is and in others, organization is like 450 entities, and they're all in a Florida trust. But the whole point here is that New York has real power over what New York corporations can do. And this sure had the smell, especially when the AG said, what is he talking about, of an effort to, very quietly, and again, before the hammer came down, basically change the the corporate location of 7 or 8 important entities, so they would no longer be covered. You're not going to go around the country and with full faith and credit and say, I want this or that. Not in this motion. This is really all about the actual New York entities. And if he could have pulled this fast one, if that's what he was trying to do, I mean, God knows I would never accuse him of doing something, some subterfuge like that. But if he was by chance, that could have been like tremendous fraud that after it happened would in fact have made it harder to reach those. And you're so right. There was another, I don't know if you noticed, another little sort of Scribner's error where both sides agreed, oh, we've got the wrong date for when interest starts to run, no problem. And they tried to sort of slip this in. Oh, some wrong addresses, no problem. And it really does seem as if, they caught it. So we didn't take it to the end, but it really seems as if an attempt to pull a fast one and bring some important corporate entities not under the direct purview of the enforcement of this motion.
When I read that portion of of this letter brief, my mind went immediately to the fact that back in 2022, Donald Trump had filed that whole federal lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida. It got assigned to Judge Donald Middlebrooks, who had recently sanctioned Donald Trump around that time for nearly $1 million. And then Donald Trump had to dismiss the lawsuit because of the frivolous jurisdictional purported hook, because those entities were not Florida. It was all bogus. It was based on a New York case that was being filed. So I was thinking, okay, he dismissed that one in 2022 without prejudice. What I guess he's trying to do is find a way to bring it to a Florida state court judge that may be sympathetic to him. And as you said,
or just get it out of New York. He gets huge upside if he just gets it out of New York and what's happening in this particular case.
So prediction going forward here, I think if we look to what Donald Trump did on Friday in the E. Jean Carroll case, where his lawyers filed a kind of a motion for what they were referring to as an equitable stay, where
unsecured equitable stay.
Unsecured equitable stay. Yeah. So I predict that within the next few days or any moment now, we'll probably see some sort of mandamus petition being brought to the appellate district, which they've done before. I think they'll try to do anything and everything within New York to stay the enforcement, because I don't think he has the money. So I predict one of those, he's filed 2 of those mandamus petitions before they get assigned to that one judge. Remember, there was issue on like the category. It gets assigned. New York procedure is so quirky there. I think he'll do all that stuff. What do you think? I don't think he's just going to post the bond. Like, call me simple. I don't think he's going to do that.
I have to say, with great respect, that is not a bold prediction, Ben. I thought you were going to actually give a sort of bottom line. Yeah, he'll make another effort, but remember now, the clock is running. So unless the appellate division does something to keep, to stop the clock, and that's the question, whether they will do that. Will he, try some other thing or 6 other things? Yeah, but the question is, and you're exactly right on this prior sort of episode where you did have the appellate division kind of come in and give him a little bit of delay relief. But he's got to come up with something to make, other than what they did before was a sort of procedural. It's almost like when the Supreme Court just grants a stay to consider it. He's got to come up with something bona fide in order to have anything more than a couple days. So I don't see, maybe the 30 days turns into 40, but not into, 100. I think it's time to start calling around to banks and tallying up the collateral and the like. And he's not going to escape that process, even if he delays it like a bit. I don't see how he delays it for more than a bit. So there you have it.
I agree with you there. We did another hot take on what he's doing in the E. Jean Carroll case. Again, right. I don't think he's got the 80. I don't think he's got 83.3 in my opinion. I don't think he's got 83.3. I definitely, don't think he's got $450 million, which increases like 100,000 every day. And you know why I don't think he does? And again, look, I know he's very, very cheap. But when you start utilizing your political action committee and you need to grift off of supporters to pay for your wife's hair and makeup and pay for your airplanes and pay for things like that, I mean, it kind of has red flags that, I don't really know any billionaires who do that. I don't see Mark Cuban or or people like that behaving in that way. But what do I know about billionaires?
No, but look, it's a really good point. And actually, can he use different things to the extent he can? Where I'm actually going to do a one-on-one on Talking Fed soon about can he use these contributions? But really, the big thing to note. Nobody thinks he's going to be insolvent. He does have very valuable real estate properties. The question is he going to have to encumber them, pay very high, collateral and interest and the like? And that itself would be quite a come down for Trump. This is the his crown jewels. It's what he points to as. And did you see it was almost a little bit sassy on the part of Letitia James. So I pass 40 Wall Street every day, she said. We're ready to attach if need be. And so he's looking at really getting gored where it hurts the most.
There you have it. Make sure you all subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Also, the Talking Feds podcast. Talking Feds is partnered with the MeidasTouch network. It's complimentary. Harry's takes are A++. If you miss it here on Meidas, you'll get different perspectives and a lot of great guests as well on the Talking Feds YouTube channel. I watch it every single day. So check it out, subscribe there, and make sure you hit subscribe here as well. Thank you so much for watching it. Have a great one.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.